Professor Horror. Scary Stories.
Tree climbing had always been one of my favorite things to do when I was little. Didn't matter how tall they were. As long as they were trees, I could climb them. My personal record for reaching the top of a tree was 60 seconds, which probably isn't that impressive, but for me, at the time, I was proud of that. I lived with my grandma back then, and I'd always climb this one tree in our front yard, then swing on it for hours. But one nightmarish incident made me stay away from trees from that point on. It should also be noted that, up until this incident, I wasn't superstitious and I didn't believe in paranormal things. I've also never had anything like this happen to me again, which makes this event stand out even more in my life. It started out like any other day. I went out to the front yard after breakfast, ready to do some climbing as usual. I kicked my shoes off and took off my socks since I was more adept at climbing while barefoot. Then I made my way up the tree trunk and grabbed onto the lowest branch I could. Closing my eyes, I decided to just dangle there in the air, enjoying the wind brushing against my face. After 5 minutes, I heard someone giggling below me. I looked down, and to my surprise, I saw an old woman with pale skin, dressed in a black gown, sitting cross-legged at the base of the tree. At least, she looked like a woman. She was giggling uncontrollably with her hands over her face, like she was playing peekaboo or something. Alarm bells should have been going off in my head right about now. But since I was a very naive 8-year-old, I didn't think she was dangerous. Instead of calling for my grandma, I asked her, "What's so funny?" The woman looked up at me with wide, bloodshot eyes and gave me a playful little smirk, like she was happy I started talking to her. Then her smile grew wider, revealing her razor-sharp teeth. "What's funny, my dear, is that I'm gonna snatch you right out of that tree, like a juicy, low-hanging fruit, and then I'm gonna gobble you up from head to toe," she said with a soft giggle. My face went pale after hearing those words and seeing the woman's monstrous teeth. I was so scared that I froze up, clinging to the branch a little tighter while my bare feet dangled above her head. Whoever this woman was, she clearly wasn't human. I snapped out of my daze when she stood up and began reaching for my legs with her inhumanely long arms. I quickly brought my legs up and over the branch, then started climbing for my life. The woman let out a sadistic cackle as she started climbing after me. You'd think she would have trouble climbing a tree at her age, but she was on my heels within seconds. And I mean literally reaching for my heels while I climbed, trying to pull me down. It took every ounce of concentration I had not to stumble and fall down into her clutches. As I continued to climb, she kept saying things like, "I'm gonna get you," and "You better climb faster, sweetie," just to scare me and make me lose my footing. But as I tuned out her words and focused on the climb, all I could hear were my feet slapping one branch after another as I moved with a sense of life-threatening urgency. After making it halfway up the tree, the woman suddenly got quiet, so I looked down to see if she was still there, but she was gone. Not a single trace was left of her. For a moment, I began to wonder if I'd imagined her. Suddenly, 2 large hands grabbed both of my ankles, pulling my feet out from under me and causing me to fall on my back. Before I knew it, I was hoisted into the air, dangling upside down by my feet. I frantically looked up to see the creature's horrifying face smiling down at me. I don't know how it reached the top before I did. I didn't even see it pass me. This thing's movements defied logic. "Told you I'd snatch you up," she said while licking her teeth. "Now, to enjoy my prize." The creature then opened its mouth inhumanely wide, revealing hundreds of sharp teeth. It then slowly brought my feet up to its open maw, ready to devour me. I screamed at the top of my lungs as I kicked my legs frantically, trying to free myself, but to no avail. I was only saved when my grandma came outside after I screamed. The creature quickly dropped me before disappearing without a trace, almost as if it never existed. I got out of that tree so fast and ran straight into my grandma's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. I tried to explain to her what I'd seen, but she didn't believe me. Years have passed since then, but I'll never forget that thing's face as long as I live.